So we're going to present our project. Our project is named the World Universal ID. This project is based on an identity management system which we think is going to revolutionize the way we travel internationally. This project is part of our Capstone assignment for Team 21. The concept starts just like this. We've been working, basically Maybor, Celo, and myself, Rodrigo, in getting all this idea together. During the course of all of our different modules, we were able to identify the several things that we thought are going to be interesting to add into our project. The opportunity itself is we see a huge opportunity in the market to find a way to integrate all these different requirements and travel documents when you are traveling abroad. A lot of the people, when they are going to a different country, they don't even know what they need to take. We're talking about a driver license, a passport, a visa, even your medical records. So you don't know what is needed when you're traveling, and of course, you take a lot of the documents. In the case that you lose any of those documents, you may be exposed to losing your trip, getting into a legal problem, or even you have to spend a lot of money to get documents expedite just to get back to your country. So this is an opportunity that we see. A lot of the people that are business travelers travel very often, and they require all these documents, and they cannot lose the documents or stop their trip for any of this inconvenience. So we're thinking about there should be something that can help expedite the process when you're traveling, to be sure that you have the right documents, and of course to minimize the risk of losing them. In our concept, when we create the World ID, basically one thing that we put together is a couple of our ideas were very similar. So we thought, how do we integrate the best out of each one of those? So the idea is get an ID that is internationally recognized. This ID should be a digital ID and should include within it all the required documents that you have. So for example, if you are in a different country, all the required identity document from that country should be loaded into this platform. The idea of this platform, of course, is to validate the documents, ensure through certain agreements with the countries that those are the valid documents. And once that is unique and identified, then you can travel to any other country. When you go to another country, just by checking your World ID, they should be able to pull all of your identification numbers and data to be sure that you have the right information. So this is a personal identity document. It includes all the different things that you need from each one of the individual countries, including the travel visas. And at the end, it's a digital ID that you don't need to, you can take it with you and you can download it in any device that you need. But you don't need to carry it like in a paper, and you don't need to be carrying your passport when you're traveling abroad or anything like that. And of course, this can be used and accessed by each of the individual countries that you travel, and they will be able to see the information translated into their own language. So how do we think this should be used? So our mission is we want to be sure that we have a simple and very secure, convenient way to store all your information. This should be a way to, the benefit out of it besides just storing your documents and keeping them secure, is that you should be able to find a way to expedite your process, immigration process in the different countries. And of course, one of the things that we want to be sure is that this is accepted in most of the travel, the countries where there's a lot of people traveling for business or pleasure. In our business goals, our solution, of course, is going to be a platform that is going to be built in the cloud, should be accessible through web or mobile applications. The reason why we need it this way is because we want to be sure that we can add more functionality, we can keep it up to date, and of course, we can scale in case it start growing worldwide. We think by the end of next year there should be at least 3 or 4 of the major countries to accept it. We're talking about like United States, United Kingdom, France, and maybe China. No, some of the major countries that there's a lot of people traveling. No, by the first quarter of this next year, so it's 2021. I think we should be reaching close to 100,000 subscriptions, and these subscriptions, including all the expense that we have incurred to get this platform running and the servers and everything, we should still be over 50% margins. Our market, as I described before, is we're talking about international travelers and tourists, people that are going outside their country of origin, and of course the immigration and policy agencies in such countries are a part of the primary market. In terms of the secondary market, we see there's still opportunity for people traveling domestic, that they can get benefit of the identification process, and even like car rentals and everything that can also be tied to the World ID, meaning that they will access all your driving license and all the stuff using the same identification. No? Our users, basically we see that the government is going to be able to validate your documents. The other interesting thing is the documents are going to be always up to date. So if your document is expired, it's not going to be shown in the platform anymore. No? So this will ensure that documents are always valid, that you don't try to travel with an expired visa or passport. There should be an agreement between all these major countries to accept and recognize the other countries' identifications. The way to do this is the platform should allow them to agree and validate that the documents are stored correctly and the documents are valid in their country. Of course, there's a challenge when people traveling abroad, that they may need to have access or data access to download their information on real time when they are in the immigration port, and we are thinking that there should be something to consider in that sense. And of course, the subscription cost should just offset all the costs that you have to run in the platforms, including the margins and of course all the maintenance, because at the end, since we are building this in a scalable way, that means that even if we get less subscribers, we can just downsize our platform in the cloud to be as small as possible, to ensure that we are always getting the margins accordingly to the number of people that we have on the platform. Our stakeholders, of course, are the travelers, business and casual travelers. The other piece is the immigration officers, which are the ones that are going to be validating, are using most of it, the ID. Of course, surface authorities, police agencies, and even car rentals. No? We see all those as the current stakeholders. We see, of course, potential that we can expose and get this also into the medical sector, where you can upload your insurance, medical insurance information, and also like hospitals and doctors can download that information and use it, in case of you get an accident, something like that, outside your country. We try to work in all the different needs. The needs is a very long list. So we took the first two most important needs. The first one is we need to find a way to consolidate everything into a digital device. So consolidate your identifications or different documents into a single digital device, meaning that we find a way to upload all of our documents, encrypt all those documents in a secure way, and using different technologies such as blockchain, be able to connect from the point that you uploaded the document, all the changes and everything, to be sure that when we have a document in our platform is validated for our authenticity. You know? Of course, we see the solution can add all the documents, like your identifications, if there's like a voting card, passport, driver license, visas, medical insurance, and whatever other identification your country may need, into a repository. A repository we are calling the digital vault. What is a digital vault? It's a storage place that is everything encrypted and it's only accessible with two keys, basically your authentication key and a biometric key. Uh, the second need that is very important is that this should be extremely easy to access. Why do we see this as one of the most important needs? Is because when you are in a migration port, you have only maybe a few seconds or a minute before the officer starts asking questions, saying show me your ID and all the stuff. And if you don't get the information on time and you don't get the documents, he will start asking you for the your papers. And if you don't have a paper, then it's going to become a problem. So the idea here is, in order to expedite everything, you should be in a platform that is so easily that basically there's only one or two clicks to get the information ready for the officer available. So that's something that we need to be sure that we keep this in our design. We're thinking this should be at least under 3 clicks to get all the information ready for the officer. Each one of these needs, of course, there's secondary needs and latent different needs. We see as a secondary need that this should be something that helps you to get faster through the airport security, because this will add the benefit of a user, like a pre-check or some of those programs that exist in other countries. They should give you the ability, to pay for it because it's a benefit for you in your time. The second thing is it should provide identification for any of the purposes that you legally need identification. Of course, business, we're talking about if you can rent a car. With this, you will get the identification to get into the plane, into the airport, and of course through the immigration. And this can be used also in your medical records, to get to a hospital, or even a way for an ambulance if you get into an accident to get that information out of your phone and see who you are, what is your status, what is your medical history, and all stuff. There's other latent things over here. One is going to reduce all the things you have to carry with you, because now all the documents are consolidated in one single digital ID inside your phone. And of course, another need is that it will need to have all these blockchain password token or biometrics security basically built in, so there's no way to expose. And of course, that we know that the people that is using that ID in that phone is the person that actually owns those documents. In terms of being easy to use or easy to access, of course, we need to be sure that it's protected against any identity theft, that there's no way for somebody to steal your ID and use it. And the second thing is we need to be sure that everything is kept up to date. So for example, if you agree, let's say, to upload your driver license, if your driver license expires, it should allow you to update it to the new driver license, and you can keep all those records over there. We know that the application should be able to keep up to date with the latest technology, so if there's a new security patch or something, that we have it up to date. In terms of other latent needs, we need to be sure that we help the users not to lose their identification or documents, and in case they lose one of them, using your World ID, you should be able to download a copy of whatever was your latest document and get a reprint document or whatever in case you need it. And another thing, going back to the same security, is that when we are using faster and more convenient ways to check in or to check your documents, we need to be sure that we have all this digital record of where the document has been, who created, who uploaded, when it was stored, and all the stuff, so we know exactly, we can track down the origin of each one of the documents and ensure that the document has not been altered or modified in any way. So we took the three most important things that we see this opportunity has. The first piece of it is, of course, the digital vault, where we're going to store all the documents. The second piece is a way to check your documents. So let's say when you get to an immigration portal or security, just by getting close to that agent, your phone should be able to connect to that and say, hey, this is this person that is coming in. And the third one, of course, is that it has all the biometrics. No? So let's say you have your fingerprints and you have your photo and your photo recognition in your phone, and that is stored in your World ID. So let's say you go to another country, instead of them re-scanning your fingerprints or taking your photo, they can just access that information using your World ID. Yeah? So we took those three things, and of course the digital vault was the easiest to implement and very high attractiveness, because now you have all your documents in a stored place. We see that the document reader, the near field document reader, is a little more complex to implement. Still very desirable, or attractiveness is very high, but it's a little more complex because now it requires also that all the places where you're going to be using it, they have these near field communication things. And of course the biometric sharing, even though it's a very great idea, we see it's going to be difficult to store all your face details and your fingerprints and everything in a readable way for all the companies or all the places that it's going to be used. And of course there's not going to be maybe a lot of benefit. So it's a good benefit, but we don't see that at this moment it's something that we want to pursue. So that's why we decided, okay, let's focus on the digital vault as the first phase of this project. Now, talking about how many people they travel, no? If there's a lot of people that are going to use it or not. No? So we took just an assessment and review the amount of people that travels, the amount of people that may be using this World ID. No? So just to give you an idea, in just one single airport, that is Atlanta International Airport, just one single airport has over 100 million people traveling, so going through the airport security per year. That means that not necessarily all of them are international travels, but all of them will go through the security. So that's a lot of people that may be able to use this type of technology just by using your ID to check in into your process. No? So if you're tying your boarding pass that you're already having a mobile passport and you're tying that to your digital ID, basically just by scanning your phone, you should be able to go in directly through security. So just the top 5 airports, in average we have over 100 million passengers per year in each airport. That's a lot of people traveling. No? If we combine those, we're talking about 5 airports, but if we take the top 20 countries, then we are talking about billions of people that can potentially be part of our market. No? So we added certain statistics just to give you an idea of how many people travel. It's about, like you say, like about 6% of the people increase their travels during last year, and it's about 93 million people traveling abroad from United States citizens only. Also, we took about another statistics, and there's about 300,000 passports that are being lost every year. That is because all the consulates in different countries, they report the amount of passports they have to expedite and get it done. So that's how we got that information. We also talk about how many people may use a rental car, so they can also use this World ID to get the rental car. And this number is incredible. We're talking about there's about 291 million car rentals worldwide per year. No? And it's increasing every year. Um, and another interesting thing is the number of flights. So the number of users that they take a flight is around 800 million right now, and it will go to in 2023 about like 236 million. No? So that's only people that is flying, taking a flight outside their country. No? So a lot of this information just to be sure that we have a lot of potential people that can benefit from this opportunity, and we see there's a lot of, even if we take a small piece of the market, we are still getting a huge impact in terms of numbers. So what will be our business model? Our business model, of course, we're talking about customers that travel. They want to get a better experience, either shorter time in security or better immigration time, stay less time in the line. They want to be sure that they have the safety and convenience. We see, like, in this one thing that is coming on is a wearable identity document. So basically something that you can put like a chip on you, or maybe in your eyes or whatever. So this can be connected to our World ID. No, if we find a way to connect our World Unique ID to a wearable device, then basically we are making you your own identification is part of you. Our value proposition. We did a lot of interviews and to different type of people. We need to be sure that our engine has the blockchain, that we have a way to access your documents whenever you need it, just one click away. No, we need to be sure that there's less time or less of your traveling time reduced when you are traveling using this type of products and services. It should be able for you to be kind of cheap, so something that you see that your time is more valuable than the amount of money you're going to pay for this subscription. And of course, this should be something that you feel secure to get all this information in this system. No? We're going to try, there are certain experiments that we think we can do. A lot of things, since we're building a platform, there can be certain things that we can add or integrate from other companies or services. As I said before, maybe we can just add your medical documents as well. So a lot of the things is a lot of the documents, let's say that your documents, you don't know where they are, you don't know how was the expiration dates and everything, so we can build notifications, we can build certain things to let the application know. No? Right now, there's a lot of affordable high-tech blockchain technology that we can just tag our documents within, and using that be able to have an extremely secure way to store documents. And at the end, you can add some certain add-ins or additional things that you can buy in your subscription. So let's say maybe you want to integrate loyalty cards or something like that. Let's say for airlines, you can add like their traveler's ID into this World Unique ID. So there's going to be a point that if we build this in the right way, we can add as many things tied to your ID as we want. In the value chain architecture, there's a lot of things going on. It's not only your digital ID. In order for your digital ID, there's other things that we need to have down there. There's a lot of readers or scanners or even fingerprint machines in the airports. We can use a lot of them to integrate our solution. So even though we store all of our documents in ID, we can have some in a way that, let's say that you scan your fingerprint in an airport, and the fingerprints goes to our database and brings all your paperwork to the officer. No? So even though you may not have your phone, just using your fingerprint, that's something that you always have with you, you should be able to access your documents. No? There's a lot of things that we can explore over here in box experiments. I don't know, we can build some online shops, we can design the immigration office of the future, we can add, how do we add our birth certificates and all the other things that you may need. No? So there's going to be a point in this type of experiments. We didn't list all of them, but they can be potential for everything. No? Even the police can tag, let's say they are looking for you, they can tag your World ID that they are looking for you, and any place you scan your World ID, they will know that you're somebody that the police is looking for. No? So there's huge opportunity. Having this centralized way to consolidate your digital ID, it will be a huge opportunity in the market to grow and expand the platform. So I took in this example just how it will work when you get to your immigration point. No? So let's say you're traveling, let's say to France, and you land to France, and then you are in the line to check in with the immigration officer. Of course, you see a lot of people, getting all their documents, looking in their bags for the passports and all the stuff, and you see there's a line for, I don't know, World ID expedite process. That line has maybe 3 or 4 people only, so you go to that line. Basically, the only thing is you have to open your phone, and you open your phone. Of course, you already have registered application, and you already have your user and password entered. So basically, by opening the application, you're already in the home screen. So this is the second icon where you see you have a small image of all the documents that you have stored in the platform. No? In any moment, you can just click on them and see the document in a larger size. But when you get close to the officer, so it's your time. Just by having your phone in your hand, you get close to the officer. The officer may have a near field reader. Your phone connects to that, identifies that you're close to the officer, and at that moment, there may be something configured in that reader that says, "Hey, I'm an immigration officer, and I may need to see your visa and passport." So in the moment your phone is near to that, your phone is gonna prompt you, "Hey, you are in this with this immigration officer, and he is requesting access to your visa and your passport." If you decline, then of course you won't be able to proceed. If you accept it, at that moment the near field sends that authorizations to the officer, and the officer will be able to see in his screen the documents that you share, basically your visa and your passport. No? Since we want to be sure that this is the right person, it's not going to be modified, there's the biometric step. So once you accept to send it, you will need to just put your fingerprint or use your face recognition depending on the phone that you have, and it will use that, connect it to our blockchain, and ensure, okay, so this is the right person, is the actual person that stored those documents, and then it will be able to send those documents. So once the officer sees the documents on his screen, he will know that those are your valid documents, it came from the right application, they are stored with the right identity checks, and also that using your biometrics, that proves that you are the one owner of those documents. No? So that's why this idea is going to be interesting. Of course, all of this will take you a couple of seconds, so basically for opening your phone, getting close, accepting, putting your fingerprint, and then it will come into the screen. We're talking about less than a minute for the officer to have all your documents in the screen with your fingerprints, your photo, and everything down there. No? So that's how we see it's going to be an expedite process getting to the immigration. You can see here we put together a few images to show how it may work. You see the first image is how it looks, when you are storing your user and password the first time. Once you keep it stored, it doesn't matter if you have it there, because you cannot use the documents unless you use the biometrics. So of course that's something very interesting. You can see any of your documents. For example, here is like a driver license and or your identity card. There's a list of all the documents that you may have. Uh, each one of those documents has its own code, so you can scan that code and look at that document directly into our platform. That's, of course, it works for any company. They may not have access to a near field reader, but they can still access or benefit from our platform just by scanning the code and looking into that document directly through a secure link to our site. Here we also added some of the concepts, like your boarding pass, or even at the end some loyalty things that we can add into the platform. There's a few key assumptions that we think we need to consider. Of course, not every country is going to be able to integrate this technology, so we need to be sure that we work with the largest countries where there's more technology involved, and of course there's a lot of travelers, and they may be able to adopt this technology first. Of course, the second thing is, in each one of those countries, first we need to be sure that they recognize the passport, and the second step we start adding the driver license, all stuff. So for a country to recognize another country driver license, we need to be sure that our document and all the information within our platform is something that is accepted in the other country. So there's a lot of things that we need to work with all the different immigration management systems and law enforcement agencies over there. In order to be sure that this is correctly, we need to be sure that our software and our blockchain and everything is approved using the standards we are talking about. We need to find what are the right ISO requirements for encryption, for technology, for security, what is being used currently, for example, for the mobile passport application in the United States and all this stuff. And we need to do that within the next months to get all the requirements in order to build the platform. The second assumption, of course, in every country, there's a lot of things that are tied to that specific country. So we need to be sure that, let's say, if you upload your driver license from Mexico into the platform, there's supposed to be a way for us to validate through the Department of Motor Vehicles or whatever it's called in Mexico, the authority that can verify that driving license is correct and is valid. So we need to connect to those systems to validate the documents. So every time you upload a document, there should be a way to validate that the document is correct, the information that we have is valid, before we actually allow it to be stored in our platform. We need to be sure in our performance that the community or the users trust in the platform, trust in the service, that they know it's not going to be exposed and everything's stored the right way. If there's people helping us building it and the platform allowed to integrate, we need to design it in such a way that it's approved before it goes live. Of course, it should be very easy to access your documents, and of course for the authorities to access them when needed. We need to, of course, find ways to store all your biometrics, not only your ID and your fingerprint or your photo. We need to be sure all information tied your biometrics to that is connected. So of course we know who you are, and we can validate that you're not putting a driver license from one person and a passport for another person into the platform. It needs to be sure that it's the same person and is connected that way. No? And the last assumption is that the technology is accepted and trusted, and of course all the immigration and officers in different countries and airports, they accept that. In order for us to do that, we need to have very integrated verification process that is even higher than the current standard the airport has. So of course, if they see just the document, see the validity, and just check your, the dates and your photo, and they approve, our document should have more than that. No, should have all the information: who recorded, when it was recorded, when it was issued, when it expires, and all the different things. And we see, like the first launch we should be using connected to the United States Customs and Immigration Services. They already have used similar technology for the pre-check. They have for the global entry, and they also have something similar for the passport. No, for people that are U.S. citizens, they have the mobile passport solution. No? So they already have a way to check that your passport is you. They already have a way to check your biometrics and everything with the global entry, and of course they'll have the pre-check with all the background check information. No? If we connect our solution to integrate those three things into one World ID, then of course it's going to be very easily acceptable. No? So that's it. That's pretty much our idea. Of course, there's a lot of things that we need to work on, but I think this project has a lot of opportunity to success, and we have worked very hard to put all this together and try to summarize it as much as possible, just to show you what we think will be the future of your identifications. So be sure the next time you travel, you check the World ID, because probably we are going to be already live and waiting for you to sign up. Thank you.